Alright guys, welcome back to the Rookie Rebellion 2. A place where dreams are made of. Nah, not really. So we've got Mason in the orange as Romans against Tim's in the green as Romans. So, seen a lot of civ diversity so far with Romans versus Persia and Romans versus Romans. Mason getting early hunting dogs. I do like this, but he is having to gather from these straggler trees at the hunt. Tim's hasn't actually killed the deer here, which is interesting because they're going to start scattering, which will be not great for his gathering. He'll want to kill them with that engineer. He's trying to go for these early sheep, so the players are fighting over the sheep at the moment. Real enthralling gameplay this. Oh, Mason's going to get out with two. Oh no, perhaps not. We're still going to fight over the two sheep. But Tim's has managed to find the other two sets of three, so he's already on 7 sheep now. Mason will be able to just run by his town center and get some, unless Tim's actually starts gathering from, like clumps them all together and then gathers from one of them, is a pretty common thing high levels will do to stop, you know, losing 10 of them. Particularly if you're against someone like India, which, you know, it's free gold gen, they don't even have to gather from them. So Mason getting another storehouse here. It's not quite on the wood line, it's kind of just like a second boom storehouse to better saturate the hunts there with optimal gathering. Tim's going for the age up. Mason's gone for a couple of houses here, so he's a lot of wood investment early on here. Whereas Tim's will have a more streamlined opening build here, I think. He's already getting quite a bit of stone, so he's able to work towards a pretty quick second town center here. Mason age up on the way. Tim's going to add loom here, just potentially to buy some more time before getting this second TC. So he doesn't need to invest in a house at all, potentially. Starting to add hunting dogs now, a little bit later than Mason did, but may just need to get a bit more wood. So as soon as he gets 300 stone here, he's going to want to transfer those villagers onto the wood line. Mason going to want to get some stone for his own town center. He's just going to opt to get production at this stage. So Castellum, see some early barracks units, a lot of early infantry. Got the option of spears or legionaries, but they're probably going to go for mainly legionaries to start with. Try and add decurions on, and then add spears behind that, or age up from there. So Mason's going to start getting stone earlier than he did last game. He's also getting legionary production going quicker than Tim's here. Well, Tim's overgathered on stone by quite a bit there. Now just getting the wood for his age up, because he has got his own Castellum and it is outside of TC range, so he's going to have to be careful because this can just get rushed down. Though he is going to get Presidium upgrade, so he's going to make use of some of that stone he's overgathered, but it is also really going to eat into his wood here. He's got most of his vills on wood at this stage because he wants to get that town center as quickly as he can. Mason, his second TC isn't going to be anywhere near as slow as it was last game. Well, Tim's is going to have his around the same time he did, if not slightly slower than the previous game. So this time Tim's isn't going to have some crazy, disgusting Vil production advantage. And in fact, he's going to add another Castellum, so he's not making use of any of this stone he's gathered. Mason getting pickaxe, going to start getting some gold gatherers on there too, so he'll really make use of that upgrade. He's going to have the stone for a TC soon. He needs to get a bit more wood though, so it will be a while before he can get his TC. So Tim's has crammed in the second TC faster once again. Though he's going to be housed momentarily here, so he's going to want to throw down a house quickly so he can add some production here. He's got some gold gatherers already. They need a bit more food. Even just add a house and cut wood gathering for the moment. Worry about it once these guys have finished this town center. Mason, in the meanwhile, wants to get this second TC. Hopefully soon here. Invest in more houses. He's well over gathered on food here, which is a bit of a killer because right now he could have the second TC, have another Castellum or a Praetorium at this stage, have a few more units out in the field. Instead, he's just got 1,000 food in the bank, not doing anything for him. An SPQR on the way, be a handy upgrade to have, particularly if both players haven't got the greatest of the eco management and aren't just necessarily pushing each other to death. But in saying that, he really needs to start spending this food, not gather any food here, just completely cut food gathering, just gather wood if you have to over here, and yeah, get that second TC going, get more production buildings down, get more things producing. Tim's nothing in production, and he's got resources floating, so also, you know, they're just kneecapping themselves. I hate to drone on and on about it. But right now the populations could be about 50 and they're about 30, which is not ideal. So Praetorium on the way for Tim's. He's got Presidium upgrade, so these Castellums actually do act as towers. Slightly weaker towers, so they don't have a huge amount of range. And the base damage on these without garrison villages is actually pretty low. But they are still very annoying to fight under. So, second TC for Mason on the way. Tim's only producing out of one of his at the moment, so Vil count actually favouring Mason even with Tim's having quicker second town centre. Got plenty of houses, he needs to get more food at this point. So he's realised he can produce out the second TC. While Mason's just finished his second town, so it hasn't started yet giving up villages out of it. Here we go. So a bit more of an even game for economy, this one. So, but Tim's is up in terms of overall pop. So, it does have Decurions already. Real handy tanks to have. But he'd want to bring this second one with this force here if he really wants to be able to push. Considering Mason's base is really defensive, and this is the wrong side for Tim's to attack into, so ideally he'd be having his scout here just to make sure he's attacking something worth attacking. Like, if Mason was on this gold mine, this could be worth something, but right now, Tim's would be attacking from the worst possible angle. Ideally, if he hits the wood line and then just works his way down, it really forces Mason out to have to defend houses and the wood storehouse pretty much for free there. But Tim's is, I think he's realised this. If he can try and sneak this other army around without too much town centre fire, it'd be really tough for Mason because now he's got to try and cram out more production because he is lacking a little bit in terms of the overall pop of the armies here. But Tim's doesn't want to get too split up here. Same time, he is going to pinch a couple of villages off Mason there, so that'll be handy for him. 33 vills to 34, just favouring Mason at the moment. But army definitely favouring Tim's. Mason adding a bit more production, adding in an armory, much more well-timed this game for armory upgrades and for his TC, but Tim's has got a slight critical mass on him, and I think he may have potentially done it this early on. Mason is still standing strong though. Mason's got a lot in the bank. Tim's has got a lot in the bank and isn't really producing anything either. But GG being called there. And Tim's takes the series 2-0. So both players just banking a bit too much, not quite producing as fluidly as they could there. So just some slight hiccups with the Vil production on both sides, and just slight overgathering of different resources at different times. So sometimes you just need to pay a bit more attention to what you need right now. Don't worry about the long term and massing up a big bank for something. So both players overgathering a little bit of stone. You can really sort of save 200 resources to invest in another production building there. Yeah, gold eventually overgathering a bit of that towards the end. Tim's overgathering wood once he's pushed. But Mason really overgathered food quite early on, and I think that's what the killer was there. Just didn't have any units out to do anything. While Tim's is able to just make that push. He's got 5-10 more army population, fights just outside of town center and on top of opponents like gatherers. And it's a really tough spot to come back from that early on if you don't sort of have towers sprinkled out or the town center spread out in such a way that you've covered every resource. If you get baited into the fight, well, that's it, unfortunately.